Hello.
You're not only punctual, you're early.
Oh, am I?
You're
Yeah,
one.
you're like a minute early.
You're 1 minute early.
That's
Oh,
crazy.
shit. Throw me in the trash. I'll call back in 5. I need to be fashionably late.
Hey, I like fashionably early. That's good. That's different. It's different.
I know. You know what? I'm straight to the point. You're welcome, guys. You are welcome.
Well, you are a general manager now, so you have to. You are.
I mean, I'm all business now, so I have to be careful.
Yeah, I notice in your business suits and stuff like that, you're all business.
I'm like half business, actually. From the waist down, I'm all pie.
Yeah.
People don't see that part of me, you see.
So, yeah, general manager now. Obviously, a crazy month for you. I mean, everything that's happened. Have you had a chance to just kind of go, okay, take a deep breath and like see where everything is kind of laid out and fallen out for you yet?
Oh, absolutely. I had to actually go home back to England for like 8 or 9 days to get my visa fixed. So I literally was not at work, not doing anything. I was just with my family, and it was definitely the best for me. I feel like just it just, like you said, it just gave me a minute to really think about like what just happened and let it sink in. And it was I felt good about it though, surprisingly. Like I do remember you saying before I went out there, like by the time you do your promo, you'll get back on stage, you'll stand up the stage, and you just have this weight off your shoulders, kind of, and it's like kind of like closure. And it definitely felt that way. And then having to do the GM the next day was like, I don't know, like kind of winning the lottery for me. It felt really good, and it's like a different role, and I'm like, I love it. I absolutely love it. I get to be the boss. I'm a woman, so we're really good at being the boss.
Well, and it's nice too with the role that thankfully they now have the women's division and power authorities besides Stephanie, and that's cool. I think that's a good thing. Yeah, the day that you found out you were going to be going out there, I was happy I was there. We talked about it. It was kind of like serendipity. It's like if there's going to be anybody who was there to be able to just give you, I don't know, just a little, a little like.
You gave me the nudge and the courage to go out there.
The
100%.
nudge. There we go. Thank you for helping me out there, because I had nothing.
You're welcome.
The nudge that you just gave me, the nudge to just go, hey, it'll be okay, and not from someone who hasn't had to experience it, because you can hear all of those things from people who aren't going to have to go through the same thing as you, or actually go out and walk in those shoes. And sure, yeah, it's great that they can, try and say that thing to you, but unless they've actually done it, they don't know how difficult it is. So
Exactly.
yeah, I was happy I was there that day to be able to just talk to you. And
Me too, and it's so accurate too, because like I didn't really tell many people that was going to happen, but like obviously I saw you and I was like, oh my gosh, like I have to do the speech, like this is perfect, like can I talk to you at some point today before I have to get taken out there, and like once people saw me afterwards, it was really hard afterwards actually. Like I was on the stage and I was like, okay, like this is it, closure. But then I came back to the curtain and everyone was just like, oh my gosh. And they were all like, like girls were crying. And I'm like, you're making this so much worse. What's going on? Like, I was not even, I was like, all right, I'm good. I've got this. And then Stephanie grabbed me and hugged me for the longest time, which is really lovely. And Vince and Hannah. But then as soon as I walked out of Gorilla and down the stairs, there was just girls just like, like Bailey, I love him. I was like, please shut up. Don't cry. It was very sweet though, but like, yeah.
Well, and you do need to go through that too,
because absolutely. I felt like I died or something. System. That's what I felt like. Like everyone was like tweeting me like, "Oh, she was such a good person," but I was like, "I didn't die, guys. Like I'm still here."
I know. Hey, and that won't stop. Just so you know, like I'll still get stuff. Oh, I miss him so much. It's like, well, hold on a second. You're tweeting me, so I can read this. So you don't have to miss him so much, because him is reading this and he's right here, like still alive, still heart beating and everything. But that is going to continue to go on. So what it means is just that people appreciated what you did.
Yeah.
I know, and it's very, very sweet. Like I was definitely overwhelmed, and like with all the social media love I got from especially our peers, like everyone who we work with and stuff. You don't realize how much of an impact you make on the people that you actually work with. Not only the fans, but the couple of the girls like tweeting pictures of like me being their first NXT match or me being their first match on the main roster, and they were just like, "You helped me do this," and I was like, "Really? I didn't think I was helping you at all." Great.
Well, and that's one of the things that I when I found out, because I, like everybody else, it was kind of like, oh man, what's going on with her neck? You never really knew until I actually talked to you, and then it was like, okay, well, so this is what it is. But you packed a lot of stuff into the time that you had. You know what I mean? Like you accomplished some stuff, and we've talked on this show a lot about how there were lean years for the women's division and how it would pick up, and there were people that kind of kept the torch alive, and you were one of those girls that down in NXT with Emma and kind of helping build the groundswell to where it is today. So, I mean, you can look back and be very proud about that stuff. That's a lot of stuff you got accomplished.
I know. I'm really, really proud, honestly. Yeah, like you said, I definitely fit in, like, so much stuff. And, like, the small career I had in the WWE, I've been there for just over 6 years now. And obviously I had that year and a half out, which wasn't the best year of my life either. So, managing to accomplish all that and then coming back and then having a couple of months to accomplish a little bit more, helping start like the all-female Royal Rumble and stuff. It was great. I feel really good. I feel really confident in what I've done and stuff. So, it's not ending like, oh, crap, I haven't done anything with my career, Like, I've actually got a couple of trophies that I'm really happy with,
Yeah, I think that too. You kind of helped break the mold as well. Like you said, when you came from being the kind of more model type, but like brought something different, right? And the style of just everything you brought was just different, had a different feel to it, a different flavor to it. And but going back to kind of with you said you came back for a couple months. You obviously had surgery and all those sorts of things, and did the rehab and all that. Did you feel when you were coming back like this might not last, or did you feel like 100%, or did you have any kind of hesitation as far as what you were doing in the ring? Was there any doubts, or how did you feel? Were you confident and just kind of crept back up, or how did you feel?
Honestly, I felt really confident about it, but like that's kind of like the inner wrestler stubbornness. How we are, like we come back, we're like, we're going to be fine. We cannot be hurt anymore. Like this is fine. We all believe that we're kind of like unbreakable somewhat, So just coming back, and then it kind of humbled me a little bit. Actually, I was like, no, this is fine. Like, we're going to take this. We're going to make this, like, really big. I'm going to, like, hopefully I get, like, a championship match and do this and do that. But then it was just like, actually, no, you're not going to get that, But, I did come back with the confidence like that. Like, this is going to be fine. But then again, like, once, like, I kind of felt it in, like, the singles match that I had where it was like, oh, this doesn't feel as, like, right as it was before. Like, I had to go down to the PC and, like, figure out how to take bumps that like moving my neck some way, or kicking out of a finish that like moving my head kind of to the side because it couldn't be the same. Like I had to adjust a lot of things, which is like very strange for me already. So, and then I felt it kind of in the singles match where I took like a couple of bumps and I'm like, wow, that doesn't feel too great, but it's fine. Like I'm just rusty, and I'm doing like the 25-minute match, my first night back, So I was like, okay, like this would be fine. But then when it actually happened and the accident happened in the ring and I like lost all feeling in my legs and my arms, it was literally the most terrifying experience of my life. And I never wished that upon anyone. Like it was so scary. Like I literally was like, oh my gosh, like I'm done. Like I'm going to be in a wheelchair now. Like this is it. Like I pushed myself too much because I really did. Like every time I went in the match, I was like, it's okay. I'll do the comeback. I'll do this. I'll do that. I'll take the bumps. I'll do this. Because I was just so eager to be back in the ring again,
Yeah.
I feel like I pushed myself too hard to the point where my body was like, stop, And, I've been doing this since I was 13 as well, so my body's just like, you need time to grow, woman.
Yeah, no, I get that too. Like like you said, from the performer's mindset, you're almost proving to yourself that you're just as good as you ever were, right? Like you want to go back and you want to jump in and you want to do a long match and you want to do, like I remember I come back from my pec tear and I was, said, a couple of people were like, maybe you should just take it easy. I'm like, oh yeah, I plan to. And then I went out there and I was doing everything that I did before just because I had to jump back in. I didn't want to have any hesitation. I didn't want to be less than what I was before I was injured,
Right, exactly. That's exactly how I was. And I refused to believe I was hurt either. Like I remember doing this and then coming back to Orlando to go do my MRIs and stuff. And I'm like, I feel good. Like I can get back in the ring again, even though like I just experience temporary paralysis. I was like, no, I'm good. Like, I could do this. Please don't make me be out. And I was like begging them. I was like, please, I don't want to be out anymore. Please don't let me be out. And I was just crying to the doctors and stuff. So then Dr. Maria was just like, I'm sorry, like, you cannot go back in the ring again. It's horrible. It really breaks your heart. It really does.
It's I mean, it's a lot to cope with. It really is.
Yeah.
But and here's how I would look at it. Think back to how you felt there in the ring when you lost feeling and everything. Go, okay. It's heartbreaking, but it's better than that alternative. And as much as we try and push things off, and there's still that. Somewhere down in there, your body has a compass, I think, that wants to, give you that little itch, like something ain't right. And you said you kind of knew that, but the mentality and our brain and our heart goes, we're just going to keep plugging through this.
Right.
But for, gosh, it was probably, I don't know, a couple of years before I actually had to retire that, I was taking bumps. And I remember the Hawkins and Ryder were at ringside with me, and they'd come out after the match and my arms would just be kind of dangling at the sides, and they go, your arms back yet? And I was like, they're coming back. Okay, there they are.
Yeah.
And
it's
you
like
try
having to wait for a feeling to come back, though, is kind of the scary part, isn't it? Like,
it's horrible.
Please, like, yeah, horrible. I remember being in the match too, and like experiencing that. I'm like, oh, maybe it's just my arms, right? So I'm like, no, I'm going to keep going. And I remember trying to grab Sasha's legs, and my arms like felt like there was just no bones in them, So I'm like trying to grab her legs, and I'm like, wait, just let me try and stand up. I'll be good to do the comeback, right? And Sasha's like, no, like absolutely not. And I try and stand up, and I just look drunk. Like I just start stumbling and falling back. But actually, I feel like the girls are more terrified than what I was at the time. Like I was petrified, but the girls were crying at the on ringside and stuff, and then they see like the stretcher coming out, and I was like, please. It's like horrible. I don't know how you did it for like so many years beforehand, because it's terrifying.
As stupid as it is, and mine just stayed in my arms. It didn't go to my legs. Not that's hey, that's better, but it's still stupid. But
still hard.
When it's the same thing. It's like, oh well, I got a fusion in there. Of course, it's going to do this stuff. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
You try and rationalize it. Which
it's
no
like you
one
have
else.
Stockholm syndrome against your injury. You're kind of like, oh, it's supposed to be like that. Like I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and I think high level athletes, whether it's football or whatever it is, I think they have that same kind of mentality, which is probably why they got to where they did. And you try and just okay, I had this done, that's why. But thankfully, I will say, Dr. Maroon, and the whole staff and WWE, it's really good where it's at now, I think, because Beth has often said to me, she's like, I thank Dr. Maroon every day, when I wake up, because if he didn't catch where it was at, who knows what would have happened,
Right, exactly. Yeah. That's the thing. Like now, like you obviously, at first I was like, what's your problem? Why wouldn't you let me do this? But like now I completely understand. Like, of course you, like, especially him, he doesn't want his athletes paralyzed too, like if he can stop it, he's going to stop it. My doctor was always like really great, and beforehand, but he wasn't in the wrestling world, which is a little bit different. So he was like, you're good to go, beforehand. But Dr. Maroon was always like, no, you shouldn't, but we'll see how it goes. And then he was like, okay, now I'm cutting you off. Now you're out the ring, bitch. Stay out there.
I'm sure those exact words too.
The medical term and everything. Like he has a way with words. It's the best word on.
Oh, okay. So I haven't really got a chance to talk to you face to face since you went out and actually did your speech and retired. So, you go out, you do it. Thank you for the shout out, by the way. You didn't need to do that, but it was appreciated. So thank you. And how did you feel that night? When did you find out you were going to become general manager of SmackDown, and how did that feel?
Right, so it's all secrecy though. So like they don't want it to spill out. So they didn't even tell me. They were just like, "Hey, you're going to SmackDown tomorrow," And I was like, "Okay, why?" They were like, oh, no, we can't tell you that. I was like, okay. I was like, all right. Like, and at that point, you know, I've been on the road for like a while. It was WrestleMania week. I did like a bunch of appearances. Like, I felt exhausted and mentally exhausted too. So I was like, man, I literally just want to go home. Like, I don't understand what's going on. So then, like, I got to SmackDown the next day, and all of a sudden, as I walk in, there's like Road Dogg and like writers and like my writer Johnny. They all like surround me, and I'm like, oh my god, am I about to be beat up? Like, I don't know what's going on. Like, owe you money? Like, but like, no, they were just like, hey, like, this is what's gonna happen. You're gonna be like this SmackDown general manager. So this is like the next day, and I was like, okay. They're like, don't tell anyone. We don't even have the script yet. We have nothing. Just like, you know. And I was like, all right. And then they had to check if my voice was back too. Because, like, I have a thing where I lose my voice every time I'm about to do something big. So, like, when I debuted, I lost my voice. When I re-debuted, I lost my voice. And then WrestleMania, I had to do commentary, and I lost my voice. And Vince was like, oh, my God, fix your voice. He was like, what's wrong with it? I was like, I'm sorry.
Well, I noticed you didn't lose your voice for this podcast, so that shows you the level we're at.
I'll fake it for you. Yeah. No, but whatever. You make me laugh. But I had to check, like, you know, I did the promo because he had to check if my voice had come back for the promo the next day when my retirement one, and it was kind of there but kind of not. But they were like, we just need to check if you have your voice back today because today is like a really big day for you. Like, we can't have your voice sounding like a dude. So I was like, oh, great. I had to like talk for them and stuff. And at that point, I already drank like a bunch of tea and had like a bunch of cough drops and stuff. And I remember saying it to Edge. I was like, the day before, I was like, I have to get my voice back. Like, they want me to have my voice back. That's really fast. But yeah, like they heard it. I kind of like only spoke a little bit just to like I could fake it until like I went out there kind of thing. So when they spoke to me, I kept it really short. I was like, yep, I'm good. I'm good to go. They're like, great, you sound great. I was like, yeah, good. And so, like, they gave me the promo maybe, like, an hour before, and they were like, okay, go see Shane. And, like, Shane was like, no, we can just do it when we're out there, you know? And I was like, oh, shit. Like, I'm so nervous. Like, you know? But once I got out there, like, the reception was great. So, like, the crowd were, like, even bigger the night after than for my retirement speech. I was just like, oh, man. You guys still want me around. That's super cool.
Well, and that's just it, right? Because the night before, they think they don't know what to think. They think you're gone. We're not going to see her. Like, it's not a happy, like, positive reaction. It's a really weird reaction, and it's hard as an audience for them to digest all of that happening. So the fact that you come back the next night, it's like, oh, okay, well, this is great. She's still here.
They thought I faked it in the end. They're like, you're not her. You just wanted to be like that. Yeah, like, you got me. You got me good. Yeah.
Well, also get ready. You know, you were talking before about people being really nice on social media and all those sorts of things. Get ready for this question all the time. So, like, you think you could be able to get one more match, or do you think that will happen all the time? Just so you know,
I'm already getting that, and I'm like, no, guys. Like, my doctor said maybe in 15 to 20 years time, but I don't think I want to rest 15 to 20 years time. So, you know, but yeah, I already get that. Get that. Like, they're just like, oh no, you'll have Daniel Bryan thing, and I was like, the thing is with Daniel Bryan, like, his is a little bit different to ours, right? His is more concussions and stuff like that. His is more like brain, and ours is all spinal, so it's like a little bit different.
Yeah, because I also had the concussion stuff too, which is why I had to stop wrestling. And so as soon as that happened, my social media blew up with people asking me like, "Well, Daniel Bryan's back. Does that mean you're back?" And I'm like, "Well, first of all, I'm 44.
You're
right?
old as fuck. So there's that.
Yeah. So maybe I won't look as good as I did 5 years ago in tights. I don't know.
You'll be fine. No, sorry, my dogs are like fighting each other. Stop.
That's it.
I have like two. I just rescue. Like, I have a thing where I rescue a bunch of dogs all the time. Hey.
Oh, that's great.
They're not even biting each other. They just bark at each other constantly. Yeah. That's not fine. Yeah, I have a thing where I like rescue dogs all the time, and then I'll rehome them because I hate seeing them out. I hate seeing them like, stuff like that. Get outside.
You find them their forever home.
I find them their forever home. Like, that's my thing. So, like, literally when I go home, I'll go to the humane societies all the time. And, like, I'll give them hugs and stuff. I always come back with a dog every single time. And then I'll just, like, I'm a freaking psychopath. I just love animals.
No, I'm there with you. And that's why I can't go anymore. I've been cut off. Because if I do, I end up bringing a dog home. But then we end up keeping the dog. So it's like, so, yeah, I'm kind of, right now I have a 4-pound Yorkie sitting in my lap.
I just have 2. There's a 190-pound pit bull, which he's still getting used to the dog being in the house. That's why he keeps trying to like fight with him all the time. And then the other one is a 70-pound pit bull. So,
jeez.
And then I rescued an English bulldog, which I managed to rehome and stuff. I'm a psycho, honestly. I'm a real crazy dog lady. I'm so weird. Yeah.
Jay's a cat guy. And I'm a dog guy because I'm allergic to cats. So, you're on the right place.
Yeah, all of my cats are rescues as well. So.
Oh yeah, I rescued my cat. It just recently passed away. It was really old though. I rescued him super old. Like he was like 11 already.
Oh yeah.
And he turned 16 and just passed away. Bless his heart.
That's the worst.
I know, they're like your kids. Like now they're just like kind of licking each other in the grass. It's kind of like inside the house, and it's like Fight Club, but outside the house, like all right.
So you talked about how you started when you were 13. Talk a little bit about that, because like Ray started at 14, and I think that's the youngest I've heard. And I'm sure I'm going to have some dweeb say, I started when I was 9, and I've documented proof. I wrestled 2 people. But so Ray started when he was 14. You started when you were 13. Yeah. I actually was wrestling a lot too when I was 13 years old, because I obviously grew up in the wrestling business with my family. And I was always like, no, I am not going to be I loved wrestling, but I was like, I'm not going to be a wrestler. My mom was a thing where she would always get hurt all the time. Like, she's one of those people that is always injured. Like, something always happens to her. And it used to terrify me. And I used to be at the shows, and I used to be crying. It kind of, like, scarred me a little bit. I'd be crying at the side of the ring, being like, no, not again. Like, so I was like, no, I can't be a wrestler. But then one day, like, I was already training. It's just how it is. Like, when you're in the wrestling family, you kind of just get flung in the ring. And me and my brothers did all these wrestling moves. And my dad was just short on a girl one day for a show when I was, like, 13, right? And he was like, Ray, you're getting in the ring. And I was like, what? He was like, yeah, I need you. I just need you for a show, just this one show. Like, one of the girls didn't turn up, and, like, you already know something. And I was like, all right, yeah, like, this is fine. And I remember walking out, and I was in my clothes from, like, the whole day. Like, I didn't even have wrestling gear. And I remember I got knocked the fuck out. I was out cold. And I can't remember what it was, but I got knocked out my first match. Second match was, like, a couple of days after, because after that I was like, this is great. I love this job. On my first day of getting knocked out, I was like, this is for me. Like, I love this. And then my dad was like, all right, like, we have the holiday camps in England where people, it's basically like a glorified trailer park, honestly. People go there, they vacation with their family, and then people put on shows there. And, like, so we put wrestling shows on there. So my dad always had the wrestling camps, like, every season, like in the summer and the winter or whatever. Anyway, he was like, all right, well, now you're a wrestler. You can start going on the holiday camps. I was like, okay. My second match, I tried to climb the top rope, had no experience doing it. I tripped. Fell. I was hanging upside down, smacked my head, and I got knocked out the second match too. Jesus. Right. Oh. Yeah, and then it didn't start out well, guys. And then I was playing outside on my bike, right? And I went to cross the street, and I got hit by this car, right? So I got hit by this car, rolled on the bonnet, on the hood of the car, rolled off. I was like a mess. Like, I was scuffed all over my face, like my toes all ripped open. Like, but I stood up and was like, what the hell just happened? And there's like a zombie walk all the way back to the house, like crying my eyes out. And Dad was like, can you wiggle your toes? And I'm like, yeah. And he was like, all right, we have a wrestling show tonight. Get ready. I was like, what? I just got hit by a car. Well, I guess it couldn't get worse, right?
I mean, sure, because it did get worse, right? So then I had another match, right? And after this one, like, I didn't get hurt at all for, like, the rest of my career until this point, though, so I was, like, very fortunate. But, like, I remember my mum giving me a Samoan drop, and I put my hand down, and so like I broke like the stapler bone in my wrist.
Jeez.
So like my dad was like, all right, he throws like get this metal rod cast at me that you put on your wrist or whatever. He's like, all right, you don't have to take the ring down tonight, but tomorrow you're gonna have to get back to work again. I was like, thank you, Dad. I will be there tomorrow to build the ring. Don't worry about it.
Well, and I want to back up to a sentence that will probably never be said by anyone else. I took a Samoan drop from my mom. Let's just we can't just brush past that now. Like I don't know of anyone else who could say that.
My dad used to do like he would do like the sit down, you know, when you're like on your back and then people would run and like kind of like how Ray does it off the top, like run and sit down, but he would do it from standing, right? And my dad's a big guy, like he is not small, like in any sense of the word. And I just remember him doing it, sitting down on my chest. And, like, I didn't post well for, so I literally just got straight up because I was completely winded. I stood straight up and, like, grabbed this jug of water and just, like, tipped it over my head because I thought that would be the best way to get my wind back. It didn't. It just made it worse. And I just, like, dragged myself.
So you drowned yourself.
Yeah.
You drowned yourself when you already had the wind knocked out of you.
Drowning myself is definitely the best option when I can't breathe already. So yeah, like that happened. But then after that, it was fine. Like I really wanted to get into the WWE. So like my 13-year-old self didn't do very well. But like once I got to like 14, I was like sending out like resumes. I was like, this is what I've done. It's not very much, but I was like, this is what I'm doing. And I was sending it to like companies like Irish Whip and all these like European companies, like in Germany, France, Switzerland, everywhere, right? And Norway. And I managed to get my first job in Norway by the time I was 14. And then it just all went really good from there. I just kept like pushing it and like traveling and stuff, you know. And I was traveling the world by the time I was 14 by myself. Wow. And then like by the time I was 16, I was already in America for Shimmer. And doing that kind of stuff because I was just like, no, like once I have something in my head, like I'm so determined. I was like, no, I want to be a wrestler. Like, and the word diva was always such a big thing for me. I was kind of sad when it got taken away, even though it was like for the best, because diva to me would always be like WWE. Like when you think of diva, you think about the females in WWE and where I wanted to be in my wrestling career. So like I had that in my head, like I'm going to be a diva. I'm going to be a diva. I'm going to be a diva. So I stuck with it until like they signed me when I was 18 years old. And I'm going to be 26, so I'm growing old here, guys.
Yeah, right? Now you're the general manager.
Now I'm the general manager. You know, now
like I said, you packed a lot. You packed a lot of stuff into some
my
years there.
goodness.
Let me ask you a question.
Oh, yeah.
So when you were growing up, was it like, did you actually have like a physical address with your parents, or was it like, did you like travel in the caravans and all that stuff from town to town, or did you just do that part of the year? And also another part of that question is, you said you didn't want to be a wrestler. What was it that you wanted to be?
I wanted to work with animals, so I wanted to be a veterinarian. I wanted to be a zoologist. I wanted to be something like to do with animals. Like when I was younger, I was teaching girls how to ride horses. Like so I was always just surrounded by them. So I was like, no, like I'm going to be different in this family. Even though I loved wrestling, like I really loved it. Like that used to be a thing where I used to go watch it, and then I watch on the TV and stuff, you know. But it would be World of Sport, not WWE. We would just have WWE videos. Like that's the only way I could watch it. But yeah, like I wanted to do that. But then once I literally got a taste of it and was like, okay, I know how to kind of get for a match. And now I had a match, like, okay, I really love this. Like, once you have that feeling, like, it's really hard to let go of. Like, that adrenaline rush you get. And then any alcohol, any drug, anything, like, that's, like, I love it. I love that feeling.
Yeah, I've always said, if people could bottle the feeling you get when, possibly 80,000 people react and drive all of their emotion at you when they hear your music, your theme music, there's nothing you can do to mimic that, and
you can't replace that feeling. I don't know what you could even replace it with. Like, it's crazy.
No, there isn't, but and that's, I always just try to look at it, from the perspective where I'm at now. It's like, wow, at least I experienced that. That's pretty badass. You can't explain it to anybody unless they've experienced it too.
Yeah, exactly. It's really hard to explain to people. And you asked like about traveling, right? Was I in caravans and stuff?
Yeah,
So,
I asked if you did you grow up like actually in a house and like travel part of the year? Was it something you were doing year round, or because it sounds like you were doing it from? No, go ahead. Sorry.
I was always doing it year round. Like we always had a caravan because my family are gypsies, right? So like we always had a caravan in our place. But like I was always traveling. Like I was never really living at my parents' house. Like I moved to Norway when I was like 15, and then my parents owned a pub. And like at 16, I was like living above the pub by myself, you know. So I was kind of always going somewhere, and like every week I was in a different place too. Like my dad would be like, "Where are you going this weekend, Rhea?" And I'd be like, "Oh, this weekend I'm going to Spain. Like this is fun," you know. Like they never knew where I was going. I was like, "Okay, now I'm going to Turkey," and like it was. I was always like wanting to be traveling somewhere, doing what I loved. Like I always wanted to be wrestling. So I feel like that's what some people some people my age back then don't really have the drive to kind of do that, because I kind of just didn't really go to school. Like my whole thought was like, I just want to be a wrestler, which is kind of like a big leap to try and take, especially when you're super young like that, to be like, no, this is what I want to do, and this is like, I'm going to do it, you know. And I was like one that didn't really get like the educational side of things either. Like I just was really bad in school. So I was like, no, I'm not going to be here. I'm going to be a wrestler, and everyone needs to make fun of me because of it. It's like, that's lame. Like even my teachers were like so mean about it, to the point where I just didn't go to school anymore, and like I just concentrated on doing that, which I would never recommend for anybody. That's a terrible idea. Like,
I like the disclaimer.
Yeah. By the way, don't try that at home. But yeah, it's just one of those things. Like I just wanted it so bad. Like, and I just wanted to be wrestling all the time. And yeah, and the only time I did get hurt, right? I just got signed to the WWE, and I was in Switzerland, and this wasn't even really my fault, right? So I go to this girl, I was like, hey, like, can you do a crossbody, like, off the second? And she was like, yep, I've got this. And I was like, all right, well, let's practice it, because, you know, I look too confident. I was like, you've done it before, right? And she's like, absolutely, yeah, I've done this before. So she jumps up the top, but, like, goes completely to the side, and the hip smacks me in the nose, and, like, my nose just got, like, broken out of place, and I was just like, ah! Like, I just, like, lost it. I wasn't even in pain or crying because I was just so mad at this chick. And I just remember, like, I've actually got signed at that point in WWE, but I could finish my independent booking. Yeah. And I was like, you stupid bitch! I was like, so mad. I was like, this is why I got signed. I can't have my face messed up now. I'm a girl, you know, like. So I just remember, I was like, you need to take me to the hospital, all right, so I can get this put back into place. So, like, we go to the hospital, like, in Switzerland. And, like, they completely forget about me for 2 hours. Like, people forgot I was there. I was like, screw this. I was like, let's go to the show. So we go to the show, and, like, I do the wrestling show with my nose, like, completely, like, just out of place. It was so ugly and horrible. And then, like, I flew back the next day, and I went to the hospital with my mom, and she, like, helped crack him back into place again. It was, like, that's the only other time I got hurt. Which
again,
sounds like a lot.
Another sentence that I don't think anybody else is going to be able to say is that my mom cracked my nose back into place.
Yeah, it's just one of those things there. That's how my family were, though. Like, if you got hurt, you kind of just, like, brushed it off. Yeah. Or, like, we would help each other, you know? Like, my dad would not put up with anything. It's like, you have to be seriously hurt if you weren't going to be on the show, or if you weren't going to turn up for the wrestling show, you know? And so when I got to NXT, it was always like that. I'd see girls, like, who obviously don't come from the same background as me. And when I first got there, it was just models, right? So I'd see them, like, hurt, and I'd be, like, so offended. I'd be like, what are you doing in here? Like, what's your problem? Oh, you broke a nail? Yeah, I'd be like, suck it up. Like, what's your problem? Like, it was always like that. And then my brothers always taught me to, like, be as tough as the guys in the ring, right? So, like, I'd be wrestling, like, these girls when I got to WWE, and they wouldn't be able to really handle it. They're not with us anymore. They don't work for the company anymore. But, like, they were just like, you're so mean. I'm like, I don't understand what I'm doing differently. Like, what's going on? And they were just like, you have to lighten up, Rhea. Seriously, like, oh, I'm sorry.
I often think that, like, with Beth and I, it's, you know, because the girls will fall and go, okay, you got it. You know, hop up.
Yeah.
Because
brush it off, walk it off.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, wait, we can't be that way. We got to make sure. Are you okay, honey? You know,
yeah,
it's like,
I definitely learned how to do that afterwards. I'd be like, oh my gosh, are you good? I'm so sorry. Like,
it's funny too, like the stuff that happens, like it's just natural or just it's regular everyday stuff for wrestlers to see. It's no big deal. Like you kind of almost get jaded in a sense. Like you wonder what like people in when you go out with certain things, what does this person do? Like what's wrong with them? I remember this one time before I was in WWE, I was wrestling this little indie show in Reading, Pennsylvania, and it was like a 10-hour drive back to Toronto. And I used to do the shows, and then I would drive all night back to cross the border. This one time, this guy gave me like a standing moonsault, and I was like standing up, and he was off center, so I stepped underneath to catch him, and his knee caught me right in the face and like broke my nose. So of course I felt the gushing blood. Finished the match, go back, look in the mirror, my nose was all the way over to the side of my face. So I grabbed my own nose and I popped it back straight, and like blood was just gushing everywhere. And so I stopped at a gas station. I loaded up with ice, and I had a bunch of towels, and I was holding like ice and towels filled with ice on my face the entire drive. I get to the border, my eyes were starting to swell shut. I'm sure my eyes were bruised. I pull up. The guy looks at me. Luckily, I was going back into my own country because I don't know what would happen if I was trying to cross the other way. But I was coming back into Canada. Hand him my Canadian passport. He looks at me and goes, "Do I even want to know what happened?" I said, "Probably not." And he goes, "All right, good luck driving home." And he handed me back my passport, and I drove home. But you just wonder, like, in instances like that, like what other people think, right?
oh, absolutely. Like, But back then too, you'd always be driving everywhere. So I always drive up to Scotland, which would be like 10 hours and stuff, and it wouldn't be for much money either. And then you drive back, and you would look so battered and bruised, and it's just like, I'm getting paid hardly anything, and people have to see me looking like I've been like beat up bad,
Yeah.
And like even now in WWE, like you have to be kind of dressed up, and I'm always got glitter on my eyes and stuff. So like we're traveling from town to town, walking in gas stations, and even just like the way we look, even when we're not beat up, it's just like, why is this chick being so extra in this garage right now? Like, I just tell people like I'm like either a stripper or like, I just got off work, because we have such big like makeup and some big hair and stuff. They're like, what is going on with this chick? I just love a gas station. I might find the love of my life there.
Well, but it's true. Like again, Beth and Natty would always try and freak people out in gas stations at 3 a.m. as they're driving to the next town, because they're in their stilettos, and they're having to wear what they wore to the building. Their hair's still all done up and everything, and they walk into a gas station at 3 a.m. What are the people thinking in there? Like, honestly, it's like, okay, I see what's going on here. So they would always just try and mess with people.
Oh, yeah. Like, I traveled with Natty a couple of times, too, and she's so funny. She was like, we just came from a wedding and stuff. She would just make up this elaborate story. And she was always so funny with that. Same with AJ Lee, too. Like, I would travel with her a lot, and everyone just met. So that's when I start coming up with stories, like when I work in a gas station. I just say I'm a stripper, though, because I feel like I give off more of a stripper vibe than I do come from, like, a fancy wedding.
Yeah.
So you said you traveled with AJ and Nia. I've met them both, obviously, but gotten to talk to Nia quite a bit, and she does have a really good sense of humor. How do you feel now when you see her, finally kind of as champion and doing her thing?
Oh, I freaking, like, I'm not a big crier. That's, like, not my thing. But, like, when I saw her, when I cried for her, she came back and I was like, favorite girl. Because I was so invested in a story. Like, her and Lexi told a really, really good story. Like, really, really good. And it's definitely a relatable story, too. So I was just so proud of her. Like, and, she never thought she would be the champion. She was just like, no, like, I'm literally looked at just like the monster kind of thing, but not like a hideous monster. She just means like one of like the bigger girls.
Right,
She's like, I'm just looked at like the monster. Apparently monsters don't need championships and all that kind of. So she was adamant she wasn't going to win it. Right. So like what she kind of like splits out and I'm like, let me know. Like before, and I was like, why did you tell me? So, like I kind of started crying then. And I was like, I'm so happy for her because she's always such a good person. And like, it doesn't even matter who her family is. She never talks about it. She's always just like, no, I'm here for me. Like she works so hard. She's like one of the hardest workers I know, Same with Natty as well. Like they're both such hardworking people. And I feel like people with like the bigger families, they kind of work harder because they want to prove that there's,
they're on their own. Right?
Yeah, exactly. They can do it on their own. So,
well, yeah, because there's got to be that extra pressure, right?
Oh, absolutely. Definitely for them. Like, my family wasn't known at all. Like, no one still really knows my family. But it was still like the pressure of like, okay, I do have a family in the business and I do want to make my own brand and make my, like, I want to be by myself, you know?
Sure.
So I can't imagine how they were feeling. Like they must have a ton more pressure on me than on them than I do. Because, you know, like you have the Hearts and then you have the Rock and stuff. And it's like, man, look at them. Like they're all freaking massive and they're all like these superstars that are going to go down in like history as one, like some of the best, you know, and they definitely have to try and like mark their territory and prove that they're just as good. Like some of them maybe can even be better, you know?
Hey, Birdman.
Yep.
You want to eat a delicious 5-star quality dinner? Of course you do. But who wants to slave away in the kitchen after a long day at work? Do you? I don't. That's where Freshly comes in, the new way to get an amazing dinner on the table in no time flat.
That's right. Their chefs will send you delicious, freshly prepared meals so you can eat better without any of the work. And let's be honest here, I'm pretty lazy, so that helps me out quite a bit. It's so convenient and ready to eat in 3 minutes. Just think of all the time you'll save by not having to worry about shopping, chopping, or the cleanup. And now, you know, I've talked about how the Southwest chicken was my favorite, but or your favorite that I like to steal and eat myself, but I have a new one. You see, I'm a big fan of Indian food, and I had the chicken tikka masala, and oh my God, it was good. That's all I'm going to say.
Changed your life, did it? Huh.
It did.
Oh, well, check out this week's menu created by Freshly Chefs and save $20 off your first order of 6 dinners plus free shipping by going to freshly.com/awesomeness. You'll feel so relieved to come home to a chef-cooked meal every night with Freshly.
That's Freshly, FRESHLY.com/AWESOMENESS. That's freshly.com/awesomeness for $20 off your first order.
I can't believe you were able to spell that.
Well, it's written right here, else I probably wouldn't have been able to.
Well, check out this segue. You're talking about your family being known and the Rock's family and everything. Check this out. So your family's going to be portrayed in a major motion picture now.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, see what I did there?
That's a solid segue. I like what he did.
Yeah, I'm Barry Horowitz and myself right now on that one.
All right. This is why you have a podcast.
We're real journalists. We're real journalists here. Yeah.
So tell, like, I know the story, but tell everybody, you know, because you'll know stuff that we don't know. Like, how's it all come about? How do you find out? How do you feel once you realize this is a thing that's happening? And have you seen it? What do you think? All that stuff.
Right. So basically, well, it's first of all, it's been moved to March 1st of 2019 now, not September this year. I guess there was like too much competition or whatever, which is fine. Like I want the least competition when it comes to my movie. I'm just happy it's coming out. I'm like, people watch my movie, please. Like, you know, I'm just happy it's coming out. So, so basically, the day before I debuted at WrestleMania in New Orleans, like 4 years ago, right? We had a family documentary before I even got to the WWE. They documented me going to do the tryout and then have my second tryout and then finally getting signed and then film me over in America, getting adjusted to the American life, right? Mm-hmm. So it was a great documentary. Like it won awards, which is really surprising. Like it was supposed to be like this tiny thing, but people loved it in England, right? And they ended up winning an award for it. So Dwayne went over to film Fast and Furious, as you do. And he stumbled across this documentary, as you do. You know?
As you do.
And like, yeah. I was like, holy crap balls, right? So he watched it, fell in love with it, and was like, oh my gosh, this reminds me of my family, right? Because me and my family, although we annoy the crap out of each other, we all love each other very much, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So the WrestleMania in New Orleans 4 years ago, like I got a text on my phone, and I was sitting next to Dean Malenko in catering, actually watching the show. And it was like, hey, Paige, it's DJ, right? When you have time, like, I really want to talk to you about something, right? So I'm like, DJ? I was like, who the hell is DJ?
Is Jazzy Jeff calling me or what?
Yeah, and of course, I didn't expect Dwayne Johnson to be texting my phone. So I was just like, DJ. And then Dean's just like, you dumbass, that's Dwayne. And I was like, oh, shit. I was like, all right. So I text back. I was like, yeah, like, well, I'm free whenever, obviously, whenever you're available. So he gets like a couple of people to come grab me. I was like, oh my gosh. And like, I'm always like thinking, am I going to get beat up every time? Like, who do I owe money?
That's your go-to.
Yeah.
Am I going to get beat up?
Grab up my phone. He doesn't know. You're like, like, how much money do I owe? Like, so, like, I get taken into the room, and like he's there, and he's like so nice. Like, he made me feel so welcome, and I was like obviously very nervous because I'm a huge wrestling fan. Like, that's
sure.
Yeah, I'm like a big fan of wrestling. So my inner girl was like completely marking out and trying to be cool at the same time. So I'm like, hey, sup? Like, I'm Paige, you know? He like made me relax a little bit. And he was like, hey, like, and it was like, so your family has a documentary, right? And I was like, yeah, they do. I was like, that's so funny. Like, how did you stumble across that? And he was just like, well, and he told me the story. And he was like, I loved it. And he was like, I really want to make a movie on it. And I'm like, what? I was like, what? What are you talking about? And he was like, yeah. And then he started explaining like the ins and outs. And I'm just like, literally, I forget half things he's saying because I just went into like a blur from there. I was like, what the fuck is going? Sorry, can we cuss on here? I'm sorry if I keep cussing.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was just like, what the fuck is going on around here? Right? I'm like, holy shit. I was like, I'm so nervous. Like, I'm like sweating at this point. I'm like, I don't know if this is real. So he's telling me this, and then he's like, oh, and by the way, you're debuting tomorrow. And I'm like, what? And he's like, yeah, and like, you're going to win the Divas Championship. But I just burst into tears. Like, I had nothing else but just to cry. I was like, ah!
Wait,
and then
so
he was just like,
The Rock is telling us?
wait. Dwayne told you that you were going to win the title and debut the next night?
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so he was in the writer's room, and he overheard it, right? And
Oh, wow.
he even said, like, the writers would talk about, like, maybe we should, and he was like, you should, because there's a reason why, right? So he kind of, like, helped push that too. So
Nice.
I was like, what the hell is going on around here? Like, what is happening to my day? Like, this is the best Mania ever, you know? So I'm just, like, crying, and, like, I'm blubbering. Like, I'm snotting everywhere. Like, I'm a hot mess. Like, I am not cute, right? And he's, like, handing me tissues upon tissues. Like, here's more. Like, try and clean yourself up. And I'm just like,
You're a mess here.
Yeah, I'm just like, it's kind of hard here. Like, you know, because now this movie's being made about me, and now, like, okay, now my dreams are starting to become a reality even more so. So I'm just like, I'm losing it. So like he was like, hey, it's that no one knows to just walk out there and try and act cool. And I'm like, what? I was like, all right, like maybe you try this. And as I walk out the door, Tamina's standing there, and she's just like, what are you doing in there? And I'm like, oh, just hello. I'm gonna walk away. Like I was like, I didn't know what to say. I was like, great. Like everyone's gonna think the opposite of what I was doing in there, you know. I was like, like coming out, like wiping my face, like what? So I was like trying to act cool, and I was trying to like be relaxed, and I didn't tell anyone. And then the next day, because you know things change in the WWE a lot, like you know plans can go from like just the last minute, like okay, this isn't happening anymore. And my dad always taught me, like, do not get your hopes up because things change. So as much as I was really excited, I was also like, okay, like, what if this doesn't happen, right? Yeah. So then an hour before the show, Finley comes up to me too. And I'm actually starting to go into my debut now, and I'm taking it away from the movie, but...
That's okay. It'll all get told.
But then we talk about my debut real quick. Let me avoid your question. No, so then... he pulled me aside like an hour afterwards, before the show, and he was just like, hey, yeah, you're going to be debuting. And I was just like, oh, really? That's cool. Like, that's great. I started crying as well because he takes me away from like the arena kind of thing where all the trucks and stuff are. And he was just like, you need to clean yourself up. And he was like, we're not going to go over the match because people will know and people will see it. So this is what's going to happen, and you're going to win the championship. And I was like, what? I was like, ugh. And then he was like, try and act cool. And I'm like, why do people keep telling me this? I'm so pissed off. But yeah, like then I made my debut, and then not long after that, like it was SummerSlam, and then Dwayne came back to SummerSlam, right? And I won the Divas Championship for the second time. Let me just throw that in there. But they came back, and then
just a little tidbit here.
Yeah,
let me just throw that in there on my birthday.
It's actually a good change of pace because it's usually just me putting myself over on this podcast. So
don't even get me started. So Dwayne was there, and he brought one of the producers too, Kevin Misha. So then it became even more reality, right? And he was just like, hey, I'm Kevin, like, I'm going to be producing the movie, blah, blah. And he started talking to me about it, introduced me to, like, his son, you know, and I was just like, this is, like, a real thing. Like, this is crazy. And then it just went quiet. Like, nothing happened. But, like, I guess that's how the movie business works. So I was just like, oh, no, this is not going to happen. Then Stephen Merchant gets brought on, and then he starts, like, texting me and asking me about my life. And then I had to, like, he would call me, like, every other week, and he would just, like, from, like, details, like, every single detail, like, he wrote down and, like, included in the movie. And then it went quiet again. The movie went into production. They filmed, like, most of it in England. Yeah. I got to see a little bit of it when they filmed a little bit in Orlando. But then they were like, okay, the movie's done. I was like, what? The movie's fucking done. Like, this is wild. So then they showed me at the PC. Stephen Merchant came, and he was like, hey, like, we're just going to give you a private screening. He was like, I'm not going to sit in the room with you because I'm the director, and I put this together, and I feel like I'm constantly looking at you to see if you approve of the movie. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure I'm going to approve of a movie based in my life. No big deal. So he like walked out the room, and I watched it, and the whole entire time I cried my eyes out again. And I'm not a crier. Like, I make it sound like I cry a lot, but I don't cry. Like, but I was crying my eyes out again, and I was blubbering, and there was more tissue, and it's just like, yo, like, what the fuck? Clean yourself up. Like, I'm not, and everyone was like, it's just beautiful. Like, it's such a good movie. And it's not just for, like, a wrestling fan either. It's like a family movie or, like, a female Rocky movie kind of thing. Like, it's just inspirational. Just a girl that goes from, like, nothing and then finally make it, you know, it's like with rags to riches kind of thing, but with a dream instead. Like, just, wow, she finally made it to somewhere,
I mean,
after working so hard.
It's a story that, like you said, you don't have to be a wrestling fan for it to connect with you, the meaning behind the story, right?
Right, yeah. So it was so good. And then they were telling me all about, like, how they give a pre-screening to people that aren't just wrestling fans. They're different. They're just a fan of movies, right? They don't even watch wrestling. Yeah. So they showed it, and, like, the scores got so, like, it did so well, like, and everything did great. And so, like, the only thing they wanted was, okay, can we see more of, like, the real family? So I just love that, like, in the credits they put some of, like, the real documentary in there.
Oh, wow, that's cool.
Cool.
Yeah, it's really, really cool. And then they put, like, little notes. Okay, now Paige is doing this. Now Zach is doing this. Now Ricky and Julia are doing this. Like, it's really freaking cool. Like, it's a beautiful story.
Neat.
Really.
Well, I can't wait to see it. That's amazing.
So that was my long-winded version of telling you how the movie came along. But
hey, we will take long-winded answers on this show because that means we don't have to listen to Jay. Because that's where it'll go. With short answers, he starts talking about himself.
Well, here's the thing, too.
Yeah, that's my plan. That was my plan.
Well, here's the thing, too. I mean, that was obviously a huge thing that happened to you with Rock. And then another, some might say it's bigger, that you even got invited on the Edge and Christian show. And you did a little thing with us. And we had a little fun, too, with, you, obviously, it's cool, too. Like, you know, obviously, like, the thing is, too, when you're, and Adam and I can both talk about this as well, like when your in-ring career ends, it's almost like, well, what's the next challenge now, right? Like, what's next? And obviously the GM is a fun thing to do, but, I mean, you got some comedy chops and you got some acting chops too, so that might be a thing to pursue as well, because we had a lot of fun when you were on our show, and I remember us just all laughing, and we had a lot of times where we had to kind of...
I literally love doing your guys' show. Like, it's so much fun, and every time you guys, like, have me on, I've already been doing the Edge and Christian show twice, and then this is the first time on the podcast, but, like, I literally love it every single time. Like, as soon as Edge texted me, like, hey, you want to be on? I was like, absolutely, yes, I do, because I have so much fun talking to you guys, and, like, I get to be kind of more myself, too. Like, I get, like, I'm a cusser. Like, it's what I do. I like to joke. I like to be dry, and I feel like we have kind of, like, the same vibe going on. So I love it. I have so much fun. And, like, your guys' show is, I love it. Like, I watch it. It's so funny. Like, and I thought I was going to be doing, like, the bedtime story thing with you. So I'm glad that I got to do something different, like, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
we were like, let's switch it up a little bit, you know? And the good thing,
I loved it.
It's always nice when you jive with someone and you know, okay, you got the same sense of humor. You're in the same wheelhouse of stupidity. And you can just, you know, keep going along that thread and just keep having fun. So, you know, it's... You know, there's a few of you that we're like, okay, what can we get them in on at this time?
I really appreciate you guys bringing me on too. Like, it's always so much fun, and I mean, hopefully one day I'll get to have my own show, and you guys can appear on mine.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, but again, to Jay's point, that is the crazy. You know, like if you had told us when we were teaming up in like 99 and 2000, we only teamed for like 2 years on WWE television. But for whatever I know it's kind of crazy when you think about it, because people assume it was like 10 years or something. But it was that little amount of time, and from that, who knew that 15 years down the road, we were brothers, we're not brothers. We didn't even touch on TV for years. It was never even mentioned that we were even friends. And then all of a sudden, by the end of my career, we're both teaming again, and it's a thing again that we'd have a sketch comedy show based on wrestling.
On a WWE network, on their own network, like it's just so.
That's so bad. Well, you guys made such an impact on people, like that's the thing. And like I told Edge too, I was always like a big fan, and especially of you two too. Like I'm blowing smoke up your ass. Take that. But like I really.
This is what I was really trying to do. I was trying to get you in the mode of putting us over. So it worked.
Good stuff. Yeah, like, you got me. I'm putting you guys in there. But like honestly, like I was always a really, really big fan of you guys. So getting to do this is pretty freaking cool. Like I like it. Same with Bailey. I feel like me and Bailey are like the biggest fangirls when it comes to like being in the series. Like every time, like wait, I was like, yeah, I got to speak to Edge about my neck today. It's so cute. Cool, I get to be on Chris's show. Yeah, fuck you.
Well, but you know what? I will say, you talked about the impact that as a team we had because it was only 2 years or whatever. But it also speaks to the impact that you had, and because you were different and you didn't stick to the mold of kind of what everyone else was doing. You did a different thing. You did your own thing. And I think because of that, that's why people connected with you, because they could tell like, oh, she's real. She's being her. There's no false anything.
I feel like also there was a sense that you were kind of fearless in a sense of, so nobody was going to write down and put on paper and hand it to you and say, okay, this is what you are, and this is what you're going to go out and do, this is what you're going to say. You're going to go out and do what came naturally to you and what you felt you were, and that was your authentic self. That was you. And I think that people, people can connect with that, and they get that when somebody's like that.
Thank you. To a fault, sometimes I feel like I get in trouble a lot. But it's just like, relax. Stop trying to be too much of yourself. I remember when I got signed the way I look, right? I got signed this way I look, but when I got there was a head trainer there, and he would constantly try and change me. It's like, no, you need to wear color. Like, you need to do something different and stuff. And I'm like, I didn't get signed that way. I got signed looking like this. Why would I change? And the person that would always stick up for me is Dusty. That's why I always loved him. He was like because I don't have family over here, and I grew up over here. Like, Dusty was my family. Like, he was the one that I always went to about everything and stuff. And he just made me feel like you can be yourself. Like, do not stop. And he was very outspoken too. Like, he did not give a shit. Like, he would be like.
That's why everybody loves Dusty.
Like, yeah, he was amazing, and I loved him so much because without him, I feel like I probably would have conformed a little bit. Okay, like, let me try this. And to be fair, I did a little bit, and he cussed me out. He's like, what the fuck you doing, baby? What the hell? Why not? You're my girl with the dragon tattoo. Like, what the fuck? Like, And he would just say that all the time.
Okay, hold on. I love a British Dusty Rhodes impression. Another thing that you are never, like, between that and your mom Samoan dropping you and cracking your nose back into place, this pod has already delivered 3 things that I don't think I'm ever going to hear again.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I'm really nailing it. You should just have me as like the third person on your show.
I think from now on it's like Peck. It's the Peck podcast.
Yeah.
There we go.
I love that. Make it happen. You know who I really think is really funny and want to have a show with though is Renee, and I feel like it's definitely a Commonwealth thing. Yeah. I feel like she's hilarious, and she I don't know. I feel like she kind of has the same kind of dry sense of humor as well.
No, she's really funny. Yeah. No, I like her a lot. Like, we get along great. Like, we're buddies. She's every time we see her, we just always laugh, and she's super funny girl. Yeah, for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Like, she's beautiful. She's funny. Like, and we always joke around. We always say I'm Joan Jett and she's Blondie and stuff. Like, and we want to bring back Talking Smack, right? But I want to host it with it because Daniel Bryan did before. But there was if me and her host it, I feel like it would be really funny. But also there's just no there's nothing that's going to hold us back on it. Yeah. She's very outspoken too, which I really like. That's why I got along with her so far. So I would love it. She keeps bugging me about it too. She's just like, we need to get Talking Smack back. And I was like, oh yeah, that'd be fun.
Well, but again, that's the stuff now that's open to you to be able to do.
Yeah.
It's not like before where you were just kind of retired and you were retired. It's like now there's things that you can do and there's other branches you can go into, and that will also still, kind of tap into that creative side, because that was one of the things that I was wondering. Okay, now what? What creatively is going to stimulate me? And
right, exactly.
There are things. That's the beautiful thing about it. There really are things to do. You're not just.
Yeah, now it can be me, you guys, and Renee, and we can just call it the Pekka podcast.
Yeah.
Team Pekka.
Yeah.
Which is like kind of an innuendo at the same time, which is great.
We'll have to get it done. Yeah. The Commonwealth podcast, yeah.
The Commonwealth podcast.
Yeah. I kind of like the Pecker podcast better.
Yeah.
Yeah. Pecker podcast is the way to
go.
Yeah.
Well, we don't want to keep you all day. We've already been flapping our gums at you for an hour. And it's your day off, and you're a general manager now, so that means you're probably
I have
busier.
a lot of business to do, guys.
And also, you probably have about 16 dogs you need to save today, so we'll let you get back to that.
Honestly, I'm a crazy dog lady. Stop.
Yeah.
Like, I need to be cut off. Honestly, that's probably my drug now.
Hey, there's worse things. Trust me. There's that's not a bad thing. Saving puppies.
The dog rescue. That's my superhuman strength, is rescuing dogs constantly.
Well, but thanks for doing this. This was so much fun. I hope you had a good time. Anytime you want to come back on, just
say the word.
I'll just call in a minute earlier before someone else calls in.
That's all you got to do. You got the number now. You got the number.
The Tommy Dreamer does it all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, you're way more entertaining than he is.
Yeah.
Oh, don't even get me started. All right.
Oh, man.
You Bailey prank call you all the time? Like,
Yeah. Yeah, we take it. Sure, why not?
Sure.
It'll be good stuff.
But
seriously, thank you for doing it. I'm glad that you're feeling good with where you're at and where you're going. I'm happy for you. I'm proud of you. And bigger and better, right? You just keep doing your thing.
Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you so much, guys. I really appreciate it. I had so much fun. Always a pleasure.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Sounds good. We'll talk to you soon, and we'll see you this weekend. So we'll catch up on Sunday. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, sweet. I'll see you Sunday. Bye, guys.
All right. See ya.
Bye.
So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, she's great. I mean, she's such a, just a cool person, right? Like, I mean, and to hear
she's herself.
Yeah, and that's what makes her cool, and that's what like we said, like people just identified with her, because of that. And you can get a sense, like I said, that when somebody's real, and she is, and she just sounded like she's in a good place, right? And that's good to hear, because like sometimes it is almost like a death in a sense when your career goes away, and there is a mourning period. But she got to the day after jump back into something big, something different, something that's a new challenge, something that is still a creative outlet for her. And people are excited because they thought she was going away, and she's not. So it's very cool.
And then that really is one of the things, I think, in both of us having experienced that is, if you're in wrestling, chances are not only are you an athletic person, but you're probably a highly creative person, because there's such a creative element to what it is, and everything from your gear to storylines to creating matches, and it's all very creatively based. Right. So to be able to dive back into something that will still, kind of scratch that itch, it's important, because, for me, it was Haven calling almost right out of the gate. Mm-hmm. And, for you, it was
also Haven.
Yeah.
Because that kind of came up, that kind of came up like, for me and it was kind of a strange thing when that happened, because I remember you calling me and being like, "Hey, would you want to come on Haven?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah." And you were saying that that one of the producers had read your book, and you had talked obviously a lot about me in your book, because you are infatuated with me and you love me. and they had asked you about me and said, "Oh, what about your friend Jay?" And so asked, and you said, "Oh, actually," and I didn't know I was retired at the time, but you said that oh, he's actually off right now with an injury. And she went, "Hmm." And then you guys had a little hiatus, came back from a hiatus, and they said, like, we wrote this part. Do you think he'd want to do it? You're like, "Yeah, I'm pretty sure he would. I'll call him and ask him." So it kind of went from there, and that was cool for me. It was like something else that I could kind of jump right into and be like, "Yeah, I like this. I like this a lot." And I also got to do a few of the pay-per-view kickoff panels, which was fun, that I got to do right off the bat after, and that was a new challenge, and that was fun. And I've done a little bit of acting, and also this podcast. It's just been and obviously the Edge and Christian show, and plus on the other side of that is we've been writing and producing and helping on that end of it, and learning a ton doing that as well, which is great.
Yeah, and left all the scheduling to Paul Miller.
Right. Which is also great. Yeah.
No, it's but yeah, it's nice to know that there's other things, because when you're in that, I don't even want to say pigeonhole, but when you're in the world of wrestling, it kind of becomes a bubble, and you can tend to forget that it's just a pocket of the world.
Yeah,
it's its own world within a much, much larger world, and it's refreshing to know, okay, there's stuff outside of this. I had to be all in to do it, but now there are other things to do, and whether that's stuff within the industry still, whether it's WWE Network, whether it's whatever it is, there's just stuff now, and that's nice to know. So I'm very happy for. I was very happy, that I could be there to talk to her that day, because it's a weird, hard day.
Yep.
But she got through it, and that being said too, there's still going to be days where you go, oh man,
sure,
that's normal. And but she sounds like she's in a very good place, and she's a fun person. So that was a good show. It's a good show. It's a good show, Bert.
Good show.
So the next time that I see you will be tomorrow, which is again far too soon. And Hosers, we will see you next week. Might get this week. Don't know who we got next week, but we'll get something.
Fuck, we're gonna get somebody good, brother. Oh, you can bet on that. Oh, Paul Smack is let Edge get the one up on him, brother. Oh, I'm gonna roll somebody up. I'm gonna do the whole podcast with somebody rolled in a small package. Oh, we're gonna see how that sounds. Get the audio ready, Mechabat. Oh, I'll come slap you in your face, and I'll roll you up in the studio, brother. Oh, I'm hitting the road right now. I'm jumping in my car. It's fueled up.
Hey, you just hold on a second there, buddy. Because this right here, this is Flip Sunset. I'm coming to you from Rolling Hills, California. Don't you worry about it, Paul Smackage. We'll talk about it later. But just so you know, Hosers, I'm now here for future reference.
Oh, my arch nemesis, brother. Oh, this isn't going to be good. Flip Sunset, I thought you were gone, brother. Oh, this isn't over by a long shot.